Well, thank you so much for your patience and joining us today. Can you hear me? I know you can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule. I know as entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs, your time is very valuable. With this time that you're spending here, you're going to gain a lot of knowledge and information and access to opportunities, not just with the City of Houston's vendor opportunities, but also with HCC and SCORE. SCORE has a lot of resources for you to grow as an entrepreneur, especially if you're getting started. So we'll go ahead and proceed with today's panel discussion, which includes the City of Houston. Dr. Portia Jackson is the Director of the Office of Business Opportunities. She is on her way. Prior to her arriving, we do have a PowerPoint presentation for you this time so that we could spark conversation about supply chain. So that is the title of our event this month. Every month there is a new event surrounded around business growth and doing that with the City of Houston using SCORE resources as well as HCC. Next month the title is financing, and then the month of May, the title is human resources. So the idea behind this panel discussion is to help vendors of the City of Houston, as well as future vendors of the City of Houston, grow their business and do it in a way that is successful for them. A lot of people are intimidated by the contracting process. However, there are millions of dollars and opportunities here in the City of Houston. There's actually over $5 million worth of contracts available for minority suppliers, but they can't get minorities to apply for them. And so this is why we're helping you access that information. Part of accessing the contracts is having a successful business that can support the needs of the City of Houston. For example, the SCORE Houston has a plethora of resources at your disposal, as well as mentors. I am a certified SCORE mentor. I have been since 2019. I've also used SCORE as a business owner since 2007. It's been a resource for myself that has changed my life. When I accessed SCORE for the first time in 2007, it was because I was laid off from a major university. And so I had to make a change. I had to pivot very quickly because I had family to take care of. So SCORE, at that point in time, I had no idea what type of business I was going to have. I just knew that it was time to do something, and I couldn't wait for an approval from a future employer. However, I did, on my journey, entrepreneurship journey, did go back in employment. And if you've been an entrepreneur or you're interested in being an entrepreneur, it's a journey. It is not a straight line. It's something that looks like scribble scrabble, but you learn to pivot. You enjoy the process because it's your own. So my business is called Harris & Company. I help entrepreneurs connect to contracts in the City of Houston and beyond. I also provide QuickBooks services, bookkeeping and accounting. I am a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor as well as a QuickBooks expert, which means I do work for QuickBooks part-time for plenty of reasons, but it does help me help my clients as it relates to QuickBooks. And as you know, your financials are very important to your business. If you don't have them in order, if you're unable to apply for contracts, apply for grants, apply for business loans, if you don't have a proper profit and loss statement and balance sheet, which is what all of your finances roll up to. If during this COVID experience that we had, the government was giving away money. literally giving it away. If you existed as a business and you can prove that you've been a business as of February 20, prior to February 2019, they were giving you they were giving you money. And a lot of businesses did not get that money because they didn't have proper statements. So it's highly important. And even though we're coming out of COVID prayerfully, you still need those statements to either get your loan forgiveness if you decided to get the COVID loans or SBA loans, and or to continue your business. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just a little information and feedback about myself. But again, this is a SCORE collaboration with the City of Houston and HCC. SCORE is here for your success. We are successful when you are successful. So that's why a lot of us mentors here in Houston, we are the largest chapter in the United States. We have over 150, I think we're at 160 volunteers at this point. Everything from starting your business, the planting the seed of the idea, which I have experienced, all the way to exiting your business. So if you need a CPA, if you need an attorney, if you want to speak to individuals with those characteristics, you can access them for free through SCORE, and that is a valuable resource. And if you're not ready to hire an attorney or hire an accountant, a CPA, you can access SCORE for free, get your questions answered, and then you can proceed with knowledge and information when you do reach out to a CPA and our accountant, for example. But we have other mentors in marketing. My expertise is in contract management, accounting, bookkeeping, and also home health care. So with that being said, as I stated, we also collaborate with the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity, which they provide contract opportunities, everything that you can possibly think of. The City of Houston is a business and they need services from small businesses. So if your business is marketing, social media, the City of Houston, I'm sure Dr. Jackson will attest to this, the City of Houston can use you. If you're a plumber, if you are a landscaper, definitely the City of Houston can use your services. So any services that you can think of, or products, and supply chain is the topic today, so products is definitely something that we're going to concentrate on. But if you have products that you would like to sell to the city, for instance, you're a caterer, or if you if you are in construction and you supply products in order to do the construction work, you can become a supplier to the City of Houston. Again, we are in collaboration with HCC. As far as entrepreneurship, it's a continual education. You know, I remember in high school, I'm going to graduate, I'm done. Now I'm a super graduate. And on top of being a super graduate, I continue to get education and information as much as possible to help my business grow, to help my clients. So HCC is a great opportunity for that, as well as they have free resources like internships, opportunities that can help you grow your business for free. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and let Ravi provide you with information about HCC as well.
Thank you so much. And I'm also on the Zoom, so I've turned on the camera, but also for y'all, thank you for being on an HCC campus. Believe it or not, we have about 70 buildings that HCC operates throughout the city. All of those buildings need resources or small business owners to help make it run. Everything from landscaping to construction to IT, lots of different services. So we at the college have our procurement office, and we encourage SCORE and others to come go through our small business development program as well at the college, and meet with folks like Veronica Douglas, who's at HCC, to come and be part of our supplier diversity and team. The other part is our students. We are a community college. We're one of the largest in the country. We have anywhere from 50,000 to 60,000 students crossing through our doors at the college. Our programs, over 140 programs at the college, everything from cybersecurity to social media marketing to graphic design, audio, drafting, art, design, dancing, everything you can think of. under the sun is being offered at the college. Well, hire those students. Either take them as interns, take them as apprentices, or just hire them outright for career services. Lots of opportunities there, and we really want you to hire local so we can support local, right? And really keep us and our students, our gifted talents from leaving the city because they can't find enough jobs. So we want them to be considered, hire from the college. There's also programs where if you do an apprenticeship, the Texas Workforce Commission could cover the cost of that intern. So the student's getting a paycheck, but it's coming through your TWC, prevailing wages, or whatever way you're into the system. So work with our students, work with our procurement, and then our Center for Entrepreneurship. We host competitions, hackathons, and we try to get more students to think about problems and solution building. So become mentors. Just come, show up for one of our hackathons or one of our competitions, and mentor a student. Say, hey, you know what? I saw you make a presentation on starting your next fashion retail shop or a bakery, or I've got some advice for you. I've got this location you should check out. Whatever it may be. But these are future entrepreneurs of our city, and our center engages with them. I'm happy to say in the last 5 years, we've had nearly 140 different businesses start that has a website. They've created, services, products companies, and some have gone into the gig economy, where they've started to earn side income by sharing their talents. And their talents are wide, whether it be IT, social media, or even motivational speaking. We've got students that have started YouTube videos and are influencers on YouTube. So again, lots of opportunities for you to engage with the college. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share some of them. My ask is there's a nice business card. Just take that and reach out to me. And let's talk about how we could engage your business with the college, whether it be the procurement, hiring from our students, or working with them as mentors and so on. And I'll pass it back to you, Jaya. Thank you so much, and appreciate the opportunity.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
From a foreign student point of view, I listen to all what you say. You have a foreign student that comes and she's good, or he's good, and working excellent. How can you help them to go further? Because remember, you have to think they're a foreign student. They don't have the visa to work. Is there any way you can help?
So let me first start off by saying, in this room, you have 4 foreign students that are here. Three foreign, I'm sorry. They're fellows of Humphrey Fellowship. So Montenegro, India, and Yemen. Yeah. So we definitely have.
And Grenada.
All right, awesome. So you may or may not know, but HCC has the largest international student population in the country. That's how many students we have. And these are all on F1 visas and what have you. They come to the country, they get access to the curriculum or certificates or associate degrees. Our goal is that they hopefully get to a stage like a bachelor's or a master's where they can apply for those H1 jobs. But there is opportunities for those at HCC. They can apply for work study. Eventually, they can apply for OPT. And there's lots of things that even I'm starting to learn more about. Is if they want to start a business, there are ways they can start a business where they're not paying themselves, or they're just owners of a lot of investment, and then that one day they can cash out. And there's so many things that they can do. We are still learning ourselves, but I want you to know I hear you. Houston is a welcoming city, so we will eventually figure this out. But we have to also abide by federal law. And so while we cannot have our international students working without the H1s or what have you, there are programs which allow you to volunteer your time and gain tremendous experience and skill sets. And eventually, Houston does have a lot of Fortune 500s. I have students that have started volunteering here, but then eventually got a executive position back home for different organizations that are global. So I know it's not the best answer, but our goal here is to educate and get them prepared for whatever the future throws at them. And we live in a very global society, but we're so much more connected than we ever are. Believe it or not, but somebody could be managing all the services sitting on an island somewhere, and we wouldn't even know today.
That's
Right?
Yeah.
So being in this country is great, getting the education is great, making friends and connections is great, but I think truly entrepreneurship is a global act. And as long as we teach that and we mentor to that, I think you'll find there's opportunities everywhere. Okay, so I'll pass it back. Thank you so much. Great question.
Thank
Now, the
you.
reason why I
You
asked
still work.
this question, when I first came here, to school, I got training. So I used to go to the grocery store every week and buy 2 cans of milk, because that's all we could afford as foreign students. So there was a guy in the store, I think he had a crush on me, and every time I go to the store, he used to talk to me. In those days, that was years ago. I don't know if anybody remember when Wine Garden used to be on, right where the post office is on Alameda and Villa. And the guy said to me, he said, why don't you apply for the WIC program? I said, what? What is WIC? Excuse me. He said, here's a number, call them and ask about it. And I called the program. The lady, I said, I'm calling to find out about getting my degree on WIC. Now, here, if you listen to me now with this thick accent, imagine how thick it was 40 years ago. And she said on the other line, we do not serve foreign students. And she hung up the phone. I left that very broken hearted, but I did not give up. I keep on going. I went to school, went to TS, got my degree. I got a job at the city of Houston as a WIC nutritionist. When they gave me the policy and manual book, the first policy that I read, she had the right to deny me, not giving me the WIC program, but she should never deny my job. And if the store was still open, I would have been there.
Thank you for sharing that story, and how awesome is that?
But sometimes, we hear the accents and we just, oh no, give us a chance.
Let's connect, and we'll certainly, if you have suggestions to make
Oh,
something
I'll
better,
connect
let's
with
work.
you, or leave it with your number.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pass it back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Ravi. I appreciate it. And again, we appreciate the collaboration with HCC. And we have Dr. Jackson here from the City of Houston's Business Opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and give her an opportunity to speak about the City of Houston and vendor opportunities there.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's very great to be here to see all the lovely faces, and hello to everybody that's online. The Office of Business Opportunity is a small business advocate for all of our business owners, whether you're minority owned, woman owned.
Sorry. Mic closer, please.
Whether you're that good?
Yeah, better.
Whether you're a minority owned, woman owned, the size of your business, disabilities, economically disadvantaged, we make sure that we have certifications that can help you to take advantage of not just opportunities with the City of Houston, but within Houston. And we also have a hub certification that helps you to take advantage of those opportunities with state agencies and anchor institutions. And when we say anchor institutions, think about the medical center, your TSU was mentioned, U of H, all of your colleges and universities. In addition to certification, we also have business development programs that are there from the very start. If you just have a business idea with our business plan competition, all the way up until you're trying to take your business to the next level after having significant income come in. And so we're here for that. We are also here to help you to navigate with doing business with the City of Houston, and also with various partners that we have in government agencies. And we are also really this year focusing on how you can get your business ready for to do business in the private sector as well. As a business owner, you want to make sure that your portfolio is vast, right? You're not just concentrating on one particular entity or one particular sector, that you're diversifying, because we all know what's happened over the past 2 years. You just can't go one way. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to have any income when other things happen. So that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Multiple streams of income. That should be the goal for every entrepreneur, to be able to pivot, especially during times like COVID. So we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. Again, it's entitled Supply Chain. And so I'm a previous college professor, so I like to give, some definition, even if you're probably supply chain manager, but I just would like for people to get a foundation of it. So what I do have here is the definition of supply chain. And what we have here is that management of the flow of goods and services and includes all processes that transform raw materials into its final products. So usually when we think of supply chain, we think of products, getting it from A to Z, right? But it also includes services and the services that support the products as well. It is a cycle. And one of the things that vendors and potential vendors don't consider, which I've learned over a period of time, especially being here in Houston. I'll be here 5 years coming next month. So it's been an explosion coming from a small city of an understanding of what is needed as an entrepreneur. But when you become a vendor of the city of Houston, as well as just a supplier of goods and services, if you're not prepared to handle the contract, you become liable for the result of the contract, which means that if for some reason, because of supply chain, you cannot provide the product or services, then you become legally liable for what was required of that contract. And that in and of itself can put a business out of business. And therefore you be liable and owing, even though you're out of business. So this is another good reason why we're having this panel discussion, so that you can prepare yourself. I've heard on more than one occasion of businesses, like for instance, it was she supplied cakes, products to a particular government. And I'm not saying the city of Houston, it's a particular government agency, and the product was so good. They thoroughly enjoyed it every month at their event. But because she ran out of supply, she wasn't prepared for that overwhelming amount of demand. She couldn't fulfill the contract. So you have to keep these things in mind as you are a entrepreneur and a supplier of a government contract. Do you want to say anything as it relates to supply chain?
Just that you brought up a really good point. I think sometimes with being a business, a small business, we typically keep that small in our mind. And so when we do get an opportunity, sometimes there's a lot of work that goes into getting an opportunity. And when you get that opportunity and you have it, things could kind of take off just like that. And so then we're not prepared. And so I always want to encourage people that though you may be a small business on paper, have the mindset that what you've been waiting for and working for so long could actually happen just like that. You put in the time and all the effort, but sometimes you just have to wait until it's your particular time. And so when your time comes, be ready for that and have people, if you need supplies, so if we're talking about the cake, if you have a supplier, you should probably have more than one supplier, so that if something happens to one of them, you can continue to go on with your business. So always be encouraged and know that though you may be a small business, that has really, when you think about it, it just really has to do with the number of employees that you have and a certain amount of income compared to other folks. But keep in mind that you want to be able to do your business and perform. There are a lot of businesses that maybe have a few employees, but they're multi-million-dollar businesses. So don't ever let the small in front of what you do or your business limit your thinking, because you always want to be prepared for the opportunity when it comes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, remember, this is a panel discussion. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Also, if you have questions online, I think you can go ahead and provide them, and Robbie could read them out for us. But if you have questions or comments, please feel free to engage. So with supply chain, I have an example, a visual. I'm a visual learner. I'm all types, kinetics. I like to touch and feel. I'm one of those people that if I write it down, I don't have to look at it again, but I'll remember it. That is the weirdest thing, but I appreciate it. Here's a visual for you as it relates to supply chain. And as you can see, it is a global or a management system that is severely necessary. Again, as you are a small business, but you have to think larger in terms of when you're applying for contracts. Not only do you have to supply the product, but there's also reporting requirements that are necessary in order for your business to thrive, to grow with the contract, but also to satisfy the requirement. So whenever you're dealing with government, whether it's grants or contracts, and the difference between the two is one, of course, is nonprofit grants, and then contracts is something that is for profit or for gain. Whenever you're dealing with that information, because we're dealing with your tax dollars, it has to be reported. And therefore, even though you're supplying this resource, this product or service, you also have to be cognizant of the reporting element and the requirement of having an administrative staff or administrative mentality in order to satisfy the contract. So there's a couple of different elements that we talked about so far as being being able to provide services to the government. So as we look at this, we're looking at the raw materials, and this is a good example of a product or whatever. We take it from A to Z. So A to Z is the raw materials, and then Z is the customer. So ultimately, the customer in this scenario would be the city of Houston. Okay. So whenever I mentor my clients, or mentees, I always tell them to have 3 types of income: business to business, business to client, and business to government. Okay, that way it allows you to pivot easily during times like COVID. In this example, we're including supplier, manufacturing, distribution, retail, location, and the customer. A lot of times this is not necessary, right? In a service environment, you're not going to have manufacturing. But the idea of getting to A to Z, you have to keep this in mind. Do we have any questions so far?
You said 3 types, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, things falling out. So
Yeah, those 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's business to business, business to client, and business to government. So B to B, B to C, and B to G. Usually when entrepreneurs or small businesses, they pretty much think of business to customer or business to business. But you also want to include business to government, because during COVID, they were the one customer that had money that did not shut down. I mean, of course, there was elements that shut down, but they were giving away money. But if you solely did business to business, businesses were closing for a period of time, and that put a stop in your supply chain. Okay, if business to client, definitely people weren't leaving their houses. Amazon exploded. I've become a very good friend of Amazon. I mean, because think about it, you just, if you need, soap, put it in the cart, comes the next day. You don't have to go to Walmart and stand in line. Well, not that anything against Walmart, I was just saying. Okay, but with business to government, if you're prepared and you have a contract, they were still issuing contracts during that time. One of the things that the city of Houston does provide is the contract, the initial contract meetings. Pre-bid meetings where they go over the contract and tell you what all of the elements and the opportunity that exists. It also gives you an opportunity to network with other businesses. That even though COVID, closed down a lot of things, that opportunity did not cease. They just put it online like everything else, and you did the pre-bid meetings online. So business and contracts are still being issued. So business to government, business to client. Okay. So I do have a video. Again, I want to spark conversation. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Latia Harris. We own a trucking company.
Okay.
We have attended so many of these workshops. Nothing against the city of Houston. I think Dr. Jackson, this may be more of a question for you because we get resources, we get phone numbers, we go to these pre-bid meetings from the start, the website to even, and you may cover this later, to even find contracts is so convoluted. It's like it gets overwhelming. And then even to find out who get awarded the contracts, to try to see if you can become a subcontractor. That's been a challenge. And then, like I said, even when we get contacts from events, there's no follow through. You know, we'll contact individuals and there's no response, or you just kind of get lost in the shuffle of just trying to navigate with working with the city of Houston. We have a logistics side of the business and a dispatching side. The dispatching side, we are certified through the city of Houston, and we've been certified for over 5 years now and have yet to be able to find an opportunity.
So the first thing is you got to stay persistent. A lot of folks who have city contracts will tell you they've been trying for 6, 7 years, and then when it happens, it happened. One thing too, I noticed that you said about going to the meetings and trying to get in networking. You want to be on the contract before the contract becomes a contract, right? So when Jada mentioned the pre-bid meetings, that's before the contract is even awarded. And so what that pre-bid meeting is, so take you all the way back. So you're going to go to purchasing.houstontx.gov. That's where all the bids are going to be listed for the city of Houston.
.te.gov.
Purchasing .houstontx.gov.
Okay.
You go to that website, I would say the third row, second row, third column. It says search for bids. You're going to click there. All the current bids are listed there. Please keep in mind that just because there's bids listed there, that's where we list our bids, doesn't mean that every opportunity is going to be there. And when I say that is if you're in logistics, maybe logistics contracts are every 5 years. So there might not be an opportunity when you go and look, but what you can do from that same website and go to those bids, you'll see all the current bids listed there. You can also use the description box. Type in logistics. That'll bring up anything that tags logistics. So it may have current bids and it may have old bids. What you want to do is look at the patterns. And so it could be, you can see there that maybe there's a particular bid for logistics and it's only offered every 5 years, but then you know that your opportunity for the city of Houston is going to be every 5 years, and then factor in that there might be other companies going after the same bid. But there may be opportunities for you to participate on other bids where logistics is not the headliner, right? So you want to be able to kind of dive into stuff and kind of break it apart to see. Also, with that, the pre-bid conference. So that website is listing all the bids. So bids are solicitations. You can see on the pre-bid conference, that's where you're going to go. That will tell you more information about that particular bid. And so at that pre-bid conference, you're learning more about that bid, what's actually they're asking for, but also who's interested in being the prime contractor. If I'm going there and I'm going to be the prime contractor, and it may have a goal, which means I'm going to need a certified firm to be a subcontractor, one or more, depending on how it's laid out. So as subcontractors, you want to be there networking with everybody who's interested in being the prime, because when I submit my bid, I have to list the subcontractors that I'm going to use there. If I list Jada as a subcontractor, I get the contract. Jada is on there. You can't come and say, I just met you and I want to be on there. I can't do that. Jada has to say, I no longer want to be on this, or there has to be some fault before she can be added. So you want to just make sure that you're being proactive in that situation. But always, I would say, just keep at it, because it's a highly competitive process. But but just keep at it and don't get discouraged and continue to network, because you never know when that opportunity comes and who's there to say, you know what, I'm looking for a logistics company and I need to use you, and also take the opportunity to work on other bids for prime contractors. I tell people, if you see me as a prime contractor, I am no way a prime contractor. I'm just using an example.
Yeah.
But if you see me as a prime contractor, when you see me out, you should know all the contracts that I've done with the city of Houston. So that when you see me, you can say, hi, I know that, introduce yourself just like you did when you asked a question. I love that. I want to commend you for that. So a lot of people don't take advantage of the opportunity to tell about their companies. But introduce yourself, have your capability statement ready, and let them know, I know you have a contract with the city of Houston. I've been trying to break into that. So can I take you for coffee or something so we can discuss my company and how I can be, maybe can I be a subcontractor on a future contract? You never know what they have going on, but people love it when you can tell them something about themselves because they know that you're serious.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, a lot of people want to be in this industry and a lot of people are not serious. Already, yes. And so if you can come with your capability statement, you already researched them and you know what contracts that they have, especially if you know that maybe this person continues to get the contract and it's about to be renewed, you want to lock hold to that and want to know where they're at. And if they're in professional organizations, I'll be at the same professional organization means that they're at, because that's who I'm targeting and I want them to know that I'm serious.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. It's all about relationships, right?
Yes.
So forming those relationships, and like she said, it takes time. And I would caution against, kind of piggyback off of what we just said about business to business, business to client, business to government. There's a lot of businesses, and we kind of talked about this last month, that, they hear about the contracts and they go into business just to get a contract. It could be years before they're not even looking at doing business to business or business to client. They just want a government contract. I've had people come to me and and then the ones that they want to go federal first. And it's like, not only are you a new business, in which the federal government requires you to have at least 2 years of experience, okay, with invoices, but you're competing with everyone in the US as well as outside the US at the federal level. Get your feet wet. Get started with the county level, the city level, is pretty big, but the county level through school districts, and get familiar of the contracting process. That's how I educate my clients, so that they are prepared. This is again, no joke. If you can't fulfill that contract and you get it because you've hit all of the notes that they're looking for, especially you're a minority provider, and you hit all those notes, but all of a sudden you have no flour for cakes, we got a problem, right? And that's pretty hard to pivot. You're going to be hitting Walmart every week trying to get flour when you should have a backup supplier for it.
And then you'll lose money.
Yeah, you'll lose money.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is no game. But yeah, I love, like she said, I love your question, because a lot of people get frustrated with the process, but it is a process. It's a long haul. That's why you have to have that business to business to business to client, because when you finally, you're gaining that experience, and when you finally get that contract in 5 years, because you have built a relationship with a prime contractor, for some reason they have decided to move to another opportunity, you have now established your relationship with them, and therefore you look very good as a prime for that contract now that it's available. Also, to continue what Dr. Jackson says, use that information as research. When you see that a contract has been in existence for 5 years, find out what are they doing right, what products are they servicing, how are they able to get this contract every year. Again, form a relationship with that prime contractor, call them, email them every month, every 6 months, I'm just reaching out, making sure that you don't need a logistics team. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing they can't say is no, and then you could turn that into a yes. Okay. All right. Any more questions? I don't want to be the only one talking. Okay. So I'm going to let the video talk too. Okay, do I have to do anything to make it right?
No.
Okay.
Think of a product, any product. Supply chain management refers to everything involved in planning, controlling, and executing its flow from its conception to delivery, from purchasing materials to production and manufacturing.
Let's try that again.
To final distribution. Supply chain management intends to streamline this product flow and make it as cost-effective as possible. While that sounds simple, SCM is an expansive and complex undertaking that relies heavily on every partner involved in the process. A basic supply chain might consist of a company, suppliers, and customers. But a more complex supply chain might include multiple layers of suppliers and customers, and countless third parties, including logistics providers, financial organizations, software vendors, and marketing researchers. In fact, most enterprise-grade supply chains resemble a web more than a linear chain. Fortunately, SCM software helps companies manage all the moving parts and is available for specific SCM areas, including planning, execution, visibility, and tasking. SCM benefits both companies and customers by optimizing production times and delivery methods, getting the right product to the right place at the right time. SCM can lower overall operating costs, potentially eliminating the need for large fixed assets like warehouses and transport vehicles, and potentially improve cash flow. Take a look at the really big picture. And supply chain infrastructures make life better for you and me, with things like railroads, highways, and airports supporting the low-cost sharing of goods, promoting economic growth, and offering a higher standard of living.
Okay, so
Sorry. Take care of that next time.
perfect, all right. Okay, so, COVID was, or is, depending on your perspective, was a true disruption to everything in life. But as we talk about supply chain, it caused a series of issues with, and I know the first thing was toilet paper, wasn't it? I remember hearing about COVID and I'm like, okay, something's happening, and I go into the HEB and I see people just grabbing, toilet paper. And I'm thinking to myself, do I really need to get this right now? Is it that serious? I didn't hear about what was going on. Then of course, bleach, you can get bleach for years, or I should say months. It caused a disruption in our consumer products. Before I go any further, did we have any questions about the video, or was it clear, was it plain? Okay, so the disruption causes increased pricing, which we're now experiencing with gas prices. Now that we're opening up more, where the gas prices are going up to combat the demand. For example, I know during COVID, and a lot of people didn't fly, but I did. I went back home several times. I could get an airline ticket, even with Delta or whatever, for $100. It was a beautiful thing. It was beautiful. And now they're $350 a piece, and they're not even considering the gas price hike that's coming. So that's just for flights. So if we're talking about delivery of lumber, of other products, the prices are going to increase. And what happens is that our job market is not prepared for that. We had a trucking demand for operators, am I right? Prior to COVID, now it's going to even increase even more, just because of supply chain demand. It causes a bottleneck, which means that at some points, whether it's the beginning, the end, or the middle, it's going to cause a slowdown of delivery of products and services. Okay, again, product delay, and then consumer demand. So the minute we know that we can't have it, we want it, right? The minute that bleach we couldn't find bleach, you know, every week or every time I went to the grocery store, I tried to buy one just to have it on, you know, because we didn't know what was going to happen next. We had a surplus of toilet paper in the garage, you know, I'm sure there's a couple people selling it off right now. It's you know, things that happen. That's example of the supply chain disruption. Do we have any questions so far, either for me or for Dr. Jackson, especially as it relates to providing as a vendor here for the city of Houston? Did you have a comment? No? Okay. All right, so we're pretty much coming to the end where we're opening up to general questions and answers. Did you have a question?
Yes, so kind of to piggyback off a question, right? My name is Paul Onyechi, and I provide analytic services to help organizations improve their operations. So one of the issues I've had, or one of the concerns I've had, and I would like to get an answer to, is how do you bring a new product or service to the notice of the city? Yeah, because all the stuff you have on the website for bid, it's tried and tested stuff, you know. Yeah. So how do you get them to learn about something new and then get them interested in it?
Very good question. And honestly, that's just not how the city works. When we want something, we put in a bid solicitation. If there's some type of interest that we want, it's going to be an RFP, right? A request for proposal. And we're fishing to see what does this look like for us. So there are rare instances where you can bring that to the forefront. You would have to pretty much know what department purchases that and be able to schedule a meeting with that particular department to discuss that. And then that way they can look at it and see if that's something that they would want in the future. Keep in mind, we operate on a fiscal year. So if it's in the budget, if it's not in the budget, it's just not in the budget. And it may take a couple of years for that to come around, but that is the way to do that. So for instance, yeah. So if there were some people who had solar panels and they said, I've looked and I think that your building should have solar panels. We're not asking for solar panels, but there's a department that would be in charge of that. So would it be about contacting that department and saying, listen, I know you guys are not looking for solar panels right now, but I want to show you. Can I set up a meeting to present this to you? And so some departments will take that. Also, you have to keep in mind that if there are similar situations where that product is being offered, there are times where they cannot talk to you about certain things because it will look like they're giving you preferential treatment. And that's what we don't want. But that is the way, is to set up a meeting with the director or the purchasing agent. I would say probably the director of that department, and let them know about what you have. And then there's no harm in introducing your product or service to them. I would say if you get that opportunity, do not take that lightly. You want to come with the presentation and not say, I think you should be able to have solar panels because it's going, because they're a great way of the future. You need to know exactly what buildings you're telling them to have solar panels on. You need to know what they have on those particular buildings and how your particular solar panels are going to help them save this amount of money. So you have to be specific. And knowing that department that you want to, you can always send the email. There is a page on the city's website that lists all the departments, directors' email addresses. I would say start there because those email addresses, someone has to respond to those in a certain amount of time. So definitely have that, but do not ask for a meeting when you're not prepared, right? And then also, again, there are some departments that are out in the community more than others. So those that are out in the community, you want to make sure that whatever events that they have, that you're there and use that opportunity to talk to them about it. For those departments that may not be out in the community, but there's a rare instance that they appear, you probably want to drop everything you have to go in to make that face-to-face interaction, because a lot of business are out there, and contacting these various directors and folks for opportunities. Some are serious, some are not, but we all know there's a lot of people going after it. The serious ones, you're gonna have to do that effort to shine, to show that, listen, I've done my research. And how do you show that? It goes back to what I said earlier, is knowing exactly and be able to tell somebody about themselves, because that's gonna let them know that, oh, this person is serious, opposed to somebody who just possibly has an idea, just wants to share their idea.
So another thing that Dr. Jackson said earlier, also have that capability statement ready. It is your business card, is your window of what you do and what services you're able to provide to them in a snapshot. In addition, your website is a calling card. So some government agencies won't accept you as a contractor without a website. So I don't know that to be true of City of Houston, but for example, that is something that's very necessary. So invest in that. Okay, any other questions that we have out there? Yes,
I
ma'am.
actually have a question for you. Are you mainly looking for the city of Houston for opportunities, or just any businesses?
So any businesses really, yeah, but I just, I should say, we're gonna have multiple.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
government is a possibility, yeah.
Okay, I'm big on data. That's why at data and analytics, that's why I was asking, you may have done this already, but a suggestion would, like you talking about with the people that have been awarded the contracts, maybe speak to them about the service that, what type of analytics you can offer for those individual companies, right? So, and we get cold calls all the time from companies that's wanting to sell their products to us because it's all about data.
Yeah.
So that's another one too. Like we call a lot for vendors looking, seeing if they will use our services. That may be an option for you as well. Just start cold calling.
Great suggestion. Also, I don't know what session we talk about sales funnels, but that is a good example of a sales funnel. But another good tip, just as we talk about B2C, B2B, and B2G, is that the government has high expectations. Okay, whatever level it is, because they have to report to us, the taxpayer. Use that.
Y'all are tough.
Yeah, we are money. Okay, so you use their requirements, their guidelines for your policies and procedures of your business. So even if you don't obtain a contract, use their guidelines as to how you can steward your business. So the data analytics, if the city of Houston is requiring XYZ, your customer, your B2C and your B2B is going to enjoy that level of service. So if you don't have guidance as to what direction or what you want to do as far as a business, use those contracts, even if you don't apply for it, as a guideline. That's just one tip that I've given to my clients. Okay.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
I think this question is for you with your students. So you talk about TWC being able to pay students for your services. In particular, we need someone to manage our social media content. So do you guys have students? Oh, actually turn around. Are you a social media lady?
I have students.
Okay, yeah. So we tried to hire, I'm not a social media person. I post just for fun, but we really need someone to help us grow our business via social media, right? So some of the things that we're looking for one, having someone to understand our industry. Most people don't understand logistics or supply chain, and two, being able to grow your brand on social media. So
yeah, so to answer the question, even to piggyback on the earlier conversation about international students, they're looking for experience. So those are interns that you can find. You happen to sit right next to someone who coordinates 18 very talented students that are all scholars that are given scholarship to be in the US for about 10 months. And they need these projects to showcase to build up their resumes. So that's one, and they're unpaid because of the federal law. That's one. Another is if you contact the workforce, we have an executive director, Christina Robinson. If you search for her, Google and HCC, you'll find her contact information. She has multiple apprenticeships and partnership opportunities where if you fall under some of the high growth careers, then you may be able to qualify to get apprentice out of that for your business. There's also, if you have employees already and you want them to be skilled, there's a corporate college at HCC where you can work with a director. In this case, it would be Jennifer Holmes. If you and her office could say, you know what, I have 5 employees or 10 employees or 20 employees. We want them to get skilled in X, Y, and Z, right? You define your learning outcomes. They would apply to the Texas Workforce Commission and say, hey, is this a Skills for Business funded grant? If it is, then Texas would pay, TWC would pay for the education for your employees, and HCC would provide that service. So it's kind of like calling on insurance. You've been paying insurance through prevailing wages, like every check you write, right? You're paying something. So now you're saying, well, I want my employee skill. It helps with the employee is now more experienced, probably increase your loyalty as well because you're investing in your employee, and then it hopefully increases productivity for you, and you can now train your employee to the skill that you say you need. So think about those things: the corporate college, the workforce community partnerships group, Christina Robinson, and then international students that are looking for unpaid internships through groups like Odetta here, ODTA, Odetta. I mean, you're so lucky she could just give you her number right then and there. But but she gets amazing students and filmmakers and social media, audio, logistics actually, and they
We need
need
all of it, because
They
I'm
need this.
over here on my iPhone, like this don't look right.
And these students need to work with a local company. So what a great way. So yeah, lots of things. You just need to sit down and engage in some conversation and find the right path, which is what the center does. We sit down and we say, hey, what do you need? And then HCC, like you said, it's like the district level, but it's still a beast. Like it still spends nearly $2 million a day to stay in operation. Its budget is $800 million. So it is pretty. It does need help, and this is where we can try to help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, any questions? It doesn't have to be about supply chain for Dr. Jackson.
Absolutely, 60% of HCC. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right in the chat.
Oh no. Oops. I'm preaching. Online, those questions, those were comments I was asking,
Oh,
and I was also sending. So those chats I've already covered.
Okay.
The questions I've covered. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll check one more time. Oh, yeah, that's what
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So again, did you have any last words, Dr. Jackson?
it would be nice to get folks on the metaverse as well as here a contact info or link
Absolutely.
or something.
Absolutely.
So my contact information is, email is best. It's PORSC.Jackson@HoustonTX.gov. And then I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can,
Oh, you went too fast, all right, very slow, sorry.
PORSCHA.Jackson. Or actually type it in.
Sorry.
At HoustonTX.gov. Then you can also find me on LinkedIn as well. And then if you want, you know, I do this all the time. We can set up a meeting and I walk people through how to search for bids and kind of how to break down, look at the scope of work and what they're asking for. So if that's something that you want to do, just send me an email and then we can schedule a meeting and do so. Because I want you all to be successful. Is the process overwhelming? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and it can be discouraging too, but that's why I just want to make sure that you guys, I'm here as a resource to help you to walk through it and to make it down so you can just kind of keep the elephant a piece at a time. Yeah, we can have the elephant a piece at a time together. And then we can also look at some of the other folks who have contracts and then we can we can talk about a strategy of how to approach them. And some of them, a lot of times I see them out and I can say, well, you know, they're always at this event, you know, so we can do something like that.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And Robbie, your contact information is in the out in the hall there, but was there something that you wanted to add to the information for the online viewers?
So for the online, I've already typed in the chat. For those in person, I'm here, and then also my business card. So we could set up a additional timing for one-on-one, and how we can leverage and support you and local entrepreneurs.
All right, and Dr. Jackson has her business cards as well. You can obtain resources as it relates to your business, everything from business plans, marketing plans, financial strategies on our houston.score.org website. We also have other webinars. We did one just yesterday on an introduction to QuickBooks. So if you're interested, I did that one on May 5th or 6th. I'm doing bookkeeping basics. It's going to be online. So other resources, other webinars that can help your business grow that are for free. SCORE is here to support you as a business owner, everything from seed to exit. So
And they're amazing. Really.
Again, houston.score.org is the website that you want to access. Thank you for joining us. We will meet again next month, right here, same place, same time. And the topic will be financing. We'll discuss financing opportunities for small businesses. Thank you.